Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Aulia Rahmadani. I'm from Biologi A, course History of Islamic Civilization. I want to explain my presentation about Abbasid Dynasty territory expansion. Definition of regional expansion. Expansion is an expanding activity characterized by creating new markets, expanding facilitation, increasing the economy, and growing the business world. Meanwhile, regional expansion means the expansion of an area by occupying part or all of the area. The expansion of the area during the Abbasid dynasty was the progress of the Abbasid period is the heyday or golden age of Muslims as the center of the world in various aspects of civilization. This progress covered almost all aspects of life. The popularity of the Abbasid reached its peak during the Caliphate era of Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Ma'mun. The expansion of the Abbasiyah dynasty area. After the end of the Umayyah dynasty, the Abbasid dynasty was established. The Abbasid dynasty was a beacon of knowledge at that time and became the center of world knowledge. The expansion of the Abbasid dynasty's area can be seen from various sectors, include the arts, building, architecture, politics, education, and industrial and agricultural trade. The arts sector. The arts sector in the Abbasid dynasty, like the Arab in general, highly valued something subjective, particular, and had a soft feeling. It is suitable to describe an art. At that time, the caliphs developed various types of arts, especially literature in particular and art in general. At that time, there lived humanists and writers such as Abu Tamam, Al-Jahiz, and Al-Faras. They are thinking about Mu'tazilah, which mean understanding in the Islamic Aqidah, considers that a person who is a big sinner when he dies but has not had time to repent will be eternal in hell like an infidel. The attention of the Abbasid caliphs to the art sector was very large, which include pottery, music, architecture, calligraphy, and bookbinding. Among the well-known fields of pottery is Abu Nawas. The Abbasid calligraphy field notes several big names who formulate the calligraphy writing method used today. The arts of music developed so rapidly in the golden era of the Abbasid dynasty. The development of the art of music at that time was inseparable from the incessant translators of music treatises from Greek to Arabic. In addition, the support of the rules for musicians and poets made the development of the art of music have even more stretched, especially at the beginning of its development. Music was seen as a branch of mathematics and philosophy. Arguably, Islamic civilization through the book written by Al-Kindi was the first to introduce the word musiki. Al-Isfahani is the book Al-Aghani records the various achievements of the art of music in the Islamic world. The high achievement in the field of music show how Muslim society had reached a very high civilization in the Middle Age. Architecture sector. First, palace, mosque, city buildings, and resting place. Architecture sector. Regional expansion in the architectural sector of buildings. The Abbasid dynasty able beautify art, building, and architecture, good for building palace, mosque, building city. The Abbasid Khalifa built beautiful palaces, mosque, and resting place, like the Bani Buaihi Palace in Isfahan. It is the central palace for scholars and poets here, a place that develops knowledge throughout the country. The city of Bukhari, which became the Bani Buahi Palace, was also a center of knowledge. The palace of Amir Tabristan Qobus ibn Makir, which is located by the Sea of Qazwin, is also a center of knowledge. Hataib Saif al-Daulah made his palace a meeting place for scholars and poets. Ibnu Tulun Mosque became a center of knowledge. Political sector. The next regional expansion is in the political sector. The Abbasid dynasty government improved the governance organization that the Umayyad dynasty had previously achieved. In the early days of running the Abbasid dynasty, they formed Diwanun Kitabah, state secretary, in addition to the formed state secretary. The Abbasid dynasty also formed ministers who headed a department called the Archival Council At-Taqwi, which handled correspondence, the Supervisory Board, Azimani Council, the Power Inquiry Board, the Postal and Security Department, Diwanul Jundi, to organize military organization and those related to the military and defense and security. Education sector. Regional expansion in the education or science sector cannot be separated from the translators of various books in foreign language, such as Greek, Persian, and Sanskrit. In the field of education, for example, at the beginning of Islam, educational institutions had begun to develop. The educational institution consists of two levels. First, maktab or kutab and mosque, which are the lowest educational institution where children must know the basic of reading, counting, and writing, as well as where teenagers learn the basic of religious knowledge, such as interpretation, hadith, fiqh, language. Second, the level of deepening. Students must go outside the area to study with several experts in their respective fields. With the development of regional expansion during the reign of Bani Abbas in the education sector, libraries and academies were established. That development of educational institutions reflects the development and progress of science. This is also supported by the development of Arabic as the language of administration and as the language of science. The influence of developed national culture, especially through the translation movement, has not only brought progress in the field of general science but also in religious knowledge. On religious science that developing and up is hadith science, the science of interpretation, fiqh, and Sufis. Famous scholar in religious science, Imam Abu Hanifah, Imam Malik, Imam Syafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hambal, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, and Ibnu Majah. Trade sector. All efforts were made by the Abbasid dynasty to advance the trade sector, including wells and rest areas were built on the roads that were passed by the caliphs of commerce, built a merchant fleet, and a fleet was built to protect the country's share from pirate attacks. There are also several cities that are known as trade centers, including Basrah, the city of soap and glass. Kufah, well known as a silk producer, and Damascus, the city that produces silk shirts. These efforts have had a huge influence in increasing domestic and foreign trade. Progress, the economy and trading occurred everywhere, especially in Iraq, Persia, and Egypt. Because that Orientalist origin, Switzerland, Adames, not doubtful formation era Dynasty Abbasid, this as Renaissance Islam. That is, there is era that occur assimilation among Arab people with nation other ones already civilized up. Agriculture sector. Meanwhile, in the agricultural sector, the sector progressed rapidly at the beginning of the government because the center of government was in a very fertile area. Agriculture is the main source of state income, and cultivation of the land is almost entirely done by indigenous people. In an effort to advance agriculture, the Abbasid government made efforts to expanding agricultural areas in all regions of the country and build dams and dig old canals so that no agricultural area is without irrigation. Conclusion: the Abbasid dynasty was the peak of glory and goodness of the people Islam as center of the world in various aspects of civilization. This dynasty had progress which covered almost all aspects of life through the expansion of the area carried out at that time. Regional expansion means the expansion of an area by occupying part or all of the area. The popularity of the Abbasid reached its peak during the Caliphate of Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Ma'mun. The expansion of the Abbasid dynasty can be seen from various sectors include art sectors, building architecture sector, political sector, education sector, trade sector, agricultural sector. That is my presentation. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.